We're talking about Kentucky football today. They're number 20 in the nation. They're 5-0. Let me ask you this, Clint.
Okay.
Are they good? That's the question we're going to be asking today on the Locked On Bulldogs podcast.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is going on, everybody? This is Locked On Bulldogs, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. He is Daniel. I am Clint. If you're on audio, go over to YouTube, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, thanks for being here. Go over to the audio and subscribe. Download every single day. Daniel and I are excited this week because we're going to join the 199ers. And if you're not part of the 199, wait till the third segment, and then you're inaugurated into the 199. Loyal third segment listeners, you've reached it. No decoder ring necessary. And if you don't know what a decoder ring is, that's fine.
That's fine.
You don't need to.
You don't need to be of a certain age to be a part of the 199.
You
got people of all ages.
All ages. Get over the subtext. Hit that in the description to find out how you can get the subtext and talk to Daniel and I during the week as well as on game day. Daniel, we are going to be in Athens this
week. You just come hang out if you want to talk to us on game day.
Hey, why don't you come on down? You're going to
know where to find us.
We'll let you know where it is.
We'll be down there.
The Smith brothers will be starting all manner of ruckus.
And Daniel and I, ruckus? We'll probably be nearby.
And Daniel and I are going to be the voice of reason in the middle of that ruckus.
Let me stop you right there, Clint. Let me stop you right there. No one who's listened to the podcast for more than about 10 minutes believes for 1 second that you and I are ever going to be a voice of reason, because that's not something we get accused of. By the way, Auburn fans, so happy to have you still in the comments. I just want to confirm, we are biased. You're right. You're right. We are one-sided and biased. Check the name of the podcast real quick, and then come back and let us know what we should be, because this is Locked On Bulldogs podcast. We are Georgia fans, for fans, by fans, but this week we're talking about Kentucky. If you didn't hear us break down Kentucky on the last episode, go back and check that out. Listen to Tuesday's show. But today is a new day. It's Wednesday, and we've got some new thoughts, because we spent a lot of time talking about. We might be feeling optimistic, or if you would like a little bit of a counter punch, we might be we're always going to be feeling a little. Always going to be feeling like that. People listening on audio right now are so confused by what's happening.
They are.
Let's get into Kentucky. Yeah. Are they good, Clint? In the third segment, we're going to talk about what all this means for Georgia. We've spent a lot of time talking about, can Georgia stop the run? Can Georgia defend Kentucky coming out of the Auburn game? There's a lot of questions for Georgia defensively. We think there's a lot of answers for Georgia offensively. But let's look away from our program and really look into the opponent here. Let's go deep into the belly of the beast, if you will, and begin to dissect the Kentucky Wildcats.
Scientific terms happening right now.
Clint, I'm going to let you lead us off, and you can present the argument that you're going to be making, and then hit us with your data points.
Here's, I suppose, the thing that I want to ask more than anything else. I'm going to list teams. Again, we like Dawgs stats. Go find him on Twitter. He's fantastic. Gives out some great stuff over there about deep metrics.
He does.
Success, explosiveness, expected return on success rate. This is just it. If you get more yards on the proper downs to stay ahead of the chains, you sustain drives. And if you add explosiveness into that, you're a potent offense. Okay. It's a very simple. He has metrics to measure if you're able to do that, instead of just saying, here's yards per play, or here's passing yards or rushing yards. There's a little bit more to it. I'm going to give you some names of teams, and you tell me if you would feel confident having these offenses. Okay.
Okay.
Purdue.
Okay.
West Virginia.
Okay, they're outperforming people's expectations of them this year, but I'm not sure I'd necessarily
Minnesota.
Want them. The boat is not rowing.
Boston College.
Oh, no. It's getting worse. Are you going down the list? It's getting worse.
So it is getting worse. Houston. I'll add Houston in there.
Oh, dear.
Okay. Because Kentucky is smack dab in the middle of those teams as it pertains to offenses, success rate, as well as explosiveness, Daniel. That's where Kentucky is. Kentucky is smack dab in the middle of those teams. Now, a couple teams ahead of Kentucky. Okay. Vanderbilt, Stanford, Texas Tech, and Cal.
You're saying what now?
I'm saying Cal, Texas Tech, Stanford, Vanderbilt, Purdue, West Virginia, Minnesota are better at measurable statistics that say, do you stay ahead of the chains and do you add explosive plays over 50, plays over 25, plays over 15 to get into scoring opportunities and then score when you are outside of those scoring opportunities, right? So how long can you sustain drives and then how big can you get? And Kentucky is below those teams. I ask you, Daniel, has any of those teams impressed you so far this season? No,
That's a hot mess of teams is what that is.
I'll grant you there is one category that Kentucky is doing very well on, top 15, and that's rushing explosiveness. They're 15th in the nation when it comes to rushing explosiveness. Big plays, big chunks. We've seen it before. We saw it all day against Florida. But outside of that, sustained drives, not so much. Passing, not even close. If you can limit, what did we say yesterday? We said in yesterday's podcast, if you can limit, instead of 9 yards, they gain 4 yards. Instead of 15 yards, they gain 7 yards. If you can do that to the rushing game, you make them beyond one-dimensional, and you make their offense completely null and void. The thing that got Georgia in trouble against Auburn was, again, the quarterback rush for explosive plays. Outside of that, they didn't sustain drives. They got short fields. What I'm telling you, Daniel, is they're worse at Auburn playing Auburn's game. That's what I'm trying to tell you. They are akin to Auburn. Auburn can't pass. Devin Leary has not shown the ability to pass efficiently and effectively this entire season. They rely on big play running game. That's what they rely on.
Yep.
We just took the best punch of Auburn, who does that. That is what Auburn does.
Yep.
At home, and we won. Kentucky does it worse than Cal and Stanford.
Yeah.
Okay. This is why I submit to you. I don't think they're as good as people make them. They are 5-0. They find this is, again, Stoops special. He specializes in winning games that he's not supposed to win, winning ugly, getting in a phone booth and having a brawl. He's not a fighter. He's not a boxer. He's not polished. He's a brawler.
No, the man's not a pugilist. The man's just an absolute pull your hair and bite. Like that's the kind of fighting.
So that's the offense. But again, I submit to you, Daniel, have you seen any scrapes in life? The guy who wants to play by rules is a moron. Like fighting. Like what? We're not sparring on here. This isn't your brown belt in Taekwondo. Okay. This is just, do I win? And Kentucky's doing that. They're winning brawls. That's it. But I submit to you, their offense is not as potent as people think, because many offenses are above them. Yards per play, explosiveness, all that stuff is not what it seems to be. I submit to you, Daniel, they're not good. That's my contention.
Kentucky offense, not good. Now, to be clear, we're not talking about the Kentucky defense right now.
No, we're not.
The Kentucky defense, a different conversation.
I'm
but
willing to have that later.
The Kentucky offense, you say not good. I'm going to make the counterpoint to that in the second segment, but first, these.
These are, in fact, Birddogs. Birddogs.com/lockedoncollege. Head over there right now. Get your free gift with every single order. And let me tell you, you're going to want to order these shorts. Why?
Order 2. Order 5.
Go ahead. Get the joggers. Come on now. Daniel knows. We know. Get
the joggers.
They are extremely comfortable. They have wicking material. They are odor resistant. It's fantastic. If you don't think you need shorts with liners, guess again. You're dead wrong. You have no clue what you're talking about, and you're missing out, because shorts with liners are the way to go. These joggers are incredibly comfortable. Birddogs.com/lockedoncollege. It's the most comfortable shorts and pants you'll ever want to wear, ever have worn, and you're never going to want to take them off. Daniel is sitting out here, almost been fired from every single job because he comes in with Birddogs on. People are like, take your shorts off. He goes, I'm sorry.
I won't do it.
I won't do it. Fire me, he says, because that's how good these shorts are. Birddogs.com/LockedOnCollege. Free gift with every single order you make right now. Promo code LockedOnCollege. You say Kentucky offense is actually good. I suggest they are not that good. You say, nay, Clint, they are. Why, Daniel?
Let me tell you about what Kentucky does well that you already know what they do well. And then let me dispel a bit of a myth.
Misnomer.
A bit of a misconception about the Kentucky offense and what they are about. Kentucky leads this great nation of ours. I'm talking about not top 10, not top 15, not top 5. Kentucky is number 1 in college football in yards per attempt rushing. Of the rushing metrics, there is no greater indicator of success than yards per attempt. And so Kentucky is statistically the best rushing offense in college football. 6.8 yards per attempt. They're averaging over 7 yards per attempt in SEC play. Like, it is, they don't care who you are. They don't care what your defensive front is like. No. They don't care where the game is being played. Kentucky comes out and they run the ball, and they don't just get explosive plays. You mentioned 15th nationally in explosive runs. They don't just get explosive plays. It's that they do not have negative plays in the run game. That every play is accounting for 5, 6, 7, 8 yards, averaging 7 yards per attempt running the football. Just extrapolate that out to a game, and that is insanity. That is an unstoppable offensive machine. They do it.
So hypothetically, let's say you rush 33 times in a game, Daniel.
Yep.
7 yards per attempt on 33 rushing, which 33 attempts in a game is not outlandish to think for a team like Kentucky. That's just 231 yards.
That's just running all over you all day. That's just eating your lunch is what that is. 230 plus yards on the ground. That's taking someone out to the woodshed is what we call that, Clint. Kentucky does that regularly. They do it because they have Ray Davis, and they do it because they have a sound offensive line, and they do it because they have a play caller that is committed to running the football, and they're quite good at it. Now, you might think to yourself, well, Kentucky, averaging all those yards per attempt, Kentucky, Devin Leary not really doing anything this year, Kentucky, a running football team.
Sure.
Kentucky is averaging 22 rushing attempts per game this year. Do you know how many throws they're averaging per game? How many passing attempts they're averaging per game?
Over 20, that's for sure.
26 passing attempts per game. So Kentucky running a balanced offense there in Lexington with actually more skewed a little bit heavier to the pass than it is to the run. Now, they are like 45th nationally in yards per attempt passing. The passing game is not nearly as effective, but they keep you honest with the passing game. And I think that is the secret to Kentucky's rushing success. It's because they are not just a one-trick pony. They are not somebody that you can, in fact, just put 8 guys in the box against and do nothing else but focus on stopping the run. Because while Devin Leary is not great, and while he was, I mean, what do we say? He was 9 for 20 for 69 yards against Florida.
That's right.
But they keep throwing it. He threw 20 passing attempts in that game, and they were getting anything that they wanted on the ground. But the offensive system is built around the premise that if you go ahead and stack the box and leave everybody, we are going to get a wide receiver past you and exploit a bust in your coverage, and we are going to hit plays through the air. We're going to keep dropping back and passing the football. I actually think it seems counterintuitive to say it. They're not great throwing the football.
No.
That's the argument, that the primary argument that you're making. They're not great throwing the football, but the fact that they throw the football so much is what I think makes this offense great. If they just lined up like Navy and ran it at you 92 times in a game, right? Air Force leads the nation with 66 rushing attempts per game. Kentucky, 22 rushing attempts per game. If they just lined it up and ran it at you every single play, you wouldn't be seeing 7 yards a carry. You wouldn't be seeing nearly the explosiveness and the effectiveness. I think the fact that Georgia's defense is going to have to be honest in the passing game is the thing that should concern you as a Georgia fan, because Kentucky has shown that they are more than happy to drop back there with Devin Leary and throw the ball a little bit. But when they soften you up, then Ray Davis and the Kentucky offensive line is going to absolutely gas you. I think this Kentucky offense is good, Clint. Now, they are not modern college football exciting, but this Kentucky offense, I think, is legitimately good.
Now, it's been very interesting because now all this, you can do this with Georgia as well, and really getting into the teeth of SEC play right now and currently. But if you look at what Kentucky has done this against, it's Ball State, Eastern Kentucky, Akron were the first three.
Sure. Not great.
Vanderbilt, Florida after that. Okay. We're talking some consistency, though. We're talking about efficiency. We're talking about explosiveness, those sorts of things. And Kentucky does not do hockey line changes in depth. They keep the same guys out there. If you look at the statistics, it's Leary out there, it's Davis out there, all that sort of stuff. But I'm not going to deny, again, they're brawlers and they're effective at brawling, and they throw some punches that pack a weight behind it, and they're quite good at it, Daniel.
I think the argument I'm making here is that Georgia can limit the explosive plays against Kentucky and still get punished on the defensive side of the ball, because Kentucky can just come at you like 1,000 paper cuts, 5 yards at a time, and do the thing that you have said teams cannot do against Georgia, that I'm nervous that teams can do against Georgia, specifically this Kentucky team, which is to just 5 yards at a time move the ball down the field and score.
We're going to come back to this and say, what does this all mean for Georgia on Saturday? But first, want to let you know about FanDuel, Daniel. They're probably, I mean, if we're going to be honest, they're one of our favorites because we partake in FanDuel quite a bit. We love Birddogs, but FanDuel,
we got the accounts locked up, fired up, ready to go.
Correct.
Speaking of locked up, how about tomorrow's show?
Tomorrow.
We going to be on FanDuel at all tomorrow?
We're going to be on FanDuel quite a bit.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
FanDuel.com/lockedon. Right now, you go over there, put $5. Win or lose, you get bonus bets. You put an account, you add up, you put money in, and you make a bet $5 or more, and it cashes or doesn't cash. It doesn't matter which one. FanDuel is going to give you bonus bets. FanDuel.com/lockedon. They're the official sportsbook of Locked On Podcast, Locked On Bulldogs. We use them. You should use them. They're fantastic. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon for bonus bets. $5 in one bet, win or lose. You get hundreds of dollars of bonus bets right back to your account. Make every moment more. Okay, what does this all mean, Daniel? Because this is very interesting to us. I still contend that this has implications for this game. And I don't know if Kirby, it's interesting because Kirby's hasn't deviated from this before. Maybe this year is even more, because with Levis last year, they tried to air it out. They did their darndest. And Levis, to his credit, tried to sabotage the entire fan base of Kentucky by throwing interceptions at will.
It's how that kid was drafted in the first round of the NFL draft. I sincerely, Kentucky fans in the comments, please let me know. Sincerely, I'm not trying to troll. I do not understand it.
What gave you any indication that he was going to be good.
I have a feeling Kentucky fans more than anybody have no interest in defending Devin Leary, not Devin Leary and Will Levis.
Okay. I think Kirby hasn't shown in previous years. And there was a stat I picked up along the way. It's actually really, really wild. I was over on the Twitters, and you know how the Twitters go, Daniel. It's kind of
I'm aware. Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay, well, that's good because it's kind of scary sometimes.
Mess.
It's a hot mess. Mark Stoops is 0-10. This is brought to you by Brandon Zimmerman. Mark Stoops is 0-10 against Georgia, being outscored an average of 33.3 to 12.7. By the way, if you go look at Georgia's points per game allowed and earned, that's really close to our average for this season. Kentucky has only scored 2 touchdowns and averaged 5.5 points per game in its last 4 meetings with Georgia. Daniel, 5.5 per game, last 4 against Kirby Smart and Glenn Schumann.
That ain't good.
No, it's not good. I just wonder. You just said they run, Leary can't do anything. Football logic would say, well, then get out to a 21-point lead, air it out, have Carson Beck go wow with Brock Bowers and Rah and Lovett and all the rest of them. Get out to a 21-point lead, and you just cruise to victory because Kentucky ain't coming back from that. But I don't think that's what Kirby's going to do because, again, it's Kentucky week.
I mean, if he does, there'll be a first for everything.
There will be a first. It would be that's the point. The point is to deviate from his absolute standard behavior. Now, with that being said, he has a bead on Stoops and his tendencies and what he wants to do offensively. And Kirby Smart's inside that man's dome, Daniel.
I just don't think Kirby he's a creature of habit.
Yes, he is.
And he's shown that he doesn't necessarily like to deviate from the ways he likes to do things. He's also shown that the one thing that he likes more than doing things the way that he's always done them, Clint, any idea what that is?
What's that?
Winning.
There it is.
He likes winning. Okay? And when you look at Kentucky's defense, you can't run the ball against Kentucky. Georgia fans, let's be honest with ourselves here. Florida has a much more potent rushing attack this year than Georgia does.
Yep. It's
okay to say that. You don't have to start furiously typing in the comments. You can. It's fine.
You will anyway.
You already are. So it's not. Florida is a better rushing team than Georgia. And they were absolutely shut down by this Kentucky. Kentucky is 6th in the nation in opponents' yards per play rushing against.
Oh my.
It's it's 2 point something yards per rush attempt against Kentucky this year. Now, they're a top 20 yards per play passing defense as well. The defense is solid top to bottom.
Yep.
But if you're going to attack them, it is not going to be on the ground. This just related to my earlier point. If Georgia's going to attack anybody this year, it's not going to be on the ground, Clint. It's going to be on the arm of Carson Beck.
That's right.
And on the legs of Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey and Rah and all of those guys. I don't know that Kirby Smart and Mike Bobo have a choice in how they attack this Kentucky defense. Can they try to slow it down and pound the rock and shorten the game and limit possessions? Yeah, they can, but at least on paper, it just doesn't seem like it's going to work. Kentucky is very stout up front. They just do not let you run against them.
Just for clarity's sake, Kentucky has a better statistically efficient defense than Georgia. They are very stout. Again, Stoops tries to out Kirby. There's just no way about this.
It's not something Georgia fans like hearing or are going to be accustomed to hearing, but Kentucky's run defense is what Georgia wishes its run defense was this year, period.
Now really quick, to counterpoint what you said, just in the other games not named Florida, Davis's yards per carry were 4.6 against Vanderbilt. Against the mighty Akron, Davis's yards 10.3. He had 7 carries for 72 yards, so he did something there. Eastern Kentucky, Davis's average yards per rush 4.3. Not great. Florida, he went off clearly. Ball State, here was his. He had 8 yards a rush, so 8, 4, 10, 4, 10. Maybe
yeah, I mean, and
down at that 4.
Kentucky's going to try to be balanced, but they're not going to. They're going to run the ball, and they've shown the ability to do that effectively against good defenses. Florida is a good defense. They're not great. Defense. I don't think they're as good as Georgia, but they are good. I think if you're Georgia, you have to attack this Kentucky team through the air, Clint. I don't think you have a choice. I think you have to go out and try to score. And so I do think there's a chance that this game, especially at home, especially in front of a crowd that, with all due modesty, I'm going to say is going to be insane.
Oh, it's going to be crazy.
I think there is a chance this game could get out of hand early. I do think there's a chance this game could get away from Kentucky early. I also think there's a chance that Kentucky could do exactly what they want to do and make this game ugly and close and sloppy all the way through.
All I'm going to say is Kirby doesn't cover the spread. Except a top 25 matchup in Athens at night. And the only way we can possibly gain some is through the air and Brock Bauer. Look, I'm just saying come back for locks. That's all I'm saying.
Check back in tomorrow and see if Clint's got a lock. That's all.
We'll see you guys then.